Okay, I think we can get started here. And just before we do, this is being recorded just so that people can watch this after the fact if they weren't able to join us today. So just be on your best behavior. But yeah, so this is going to be recorded. But so anyways, let's get started here.
Are you talking to me? Oh,
Not sure what's going on. I'm sorry. Who was that?
I think that was Maria roboing pretty intensely.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'm not sure what was going on there. Yeah, just a message for everybody. If you could just keep your mics muted while I speak and while Josh speaks, just so we can be as clear as possible on the audio end here. But so let's kick it off here. So for those who don't know, I'm Colton Dale. I am second vice president of the Grosse Pointe Democratic Club. I'm just going to play MC tonight. Just make sure we get rolling here and that people's questions get answered on the tail end of this event. But we are honored to be joined by Josh Duffy. Josh is our field organizer from the Michigan Democratic Party for this election cycle. So he's really our go-to guy this election cycle. He's going to be on the ground daily, leading phone banks, leading other efforts to make sure that we're contacting voters and making sure that we're doing everything we can to help Democrats win. So without further ado, I'm just going to hand it off to Josh and let him do his thing. I know he's going to give an overview of what the MDP is up to right now, and then I'll also talk about ways that we all can help the cause of getting Democrats elected, and some of the certain methods like phone banking and other things. So, Josh, take it away.
How's everybody doing? My name is Josh Duffy. I am a field organizer in the East Detroit, Grosse Pointe, Harper Woods area. Colton, I just attempted to share my screen. It said that the host disabled it.
Sure. Yep. Thanks for the reminder. I'll make you co-host.
Fantastic.
So you're co-host now, so you should be able to share.
Right. No, this is my first. This is my first time actually presenting via Zoom. So see how it goes. I don't know what's going on here. All right, fantastic. Can everybody see my screen now? Okay, great. So the Michigan One campaign, I'm a field organizer with the One campaign. We are the Michigan Democratic Party's tool for voter outreach, essentially. We support, our mission pretty much is to support Democrats running in statewide elections and federal elections as well. So without that, I'm going to give a brief overview of myself, I guess. I go to Michigan State University. I took this semester off to take this opportunity to beat Donald Trump, get Joe Biden in the White House. I'm a massive, for better or for worse, I'm a massive Lions and Tigers fan. And I've been interested in, politics, democracy, things surrounding that since high school pretty much. It led me to Michigan State, where I'm studying international relations in the James Madison program. So yeah, no, I've always been interested in politics, and this is my first opportunity to really dig my teeth into it. So I'm excited. And the Michigan One campaign. So we were originally started by U.S. Senator Debbie Stabenow before she was a senator, back when she was running for Congress in the House of Representatives. Our goal is to support Democratic candidates in statewide and federal elections in Michigan. We have already made over 2 million contact attempts to Michigan voters, and we have conversed with over 150,000 Michigan voters. So, our contact rate to this point hasn't been fantastic, but what we stress every day is every little bit helps. Michigan, we only lost in 2016 to Donald Trump by 10,704 votes. we have to beat him this time. We might have to do more than beat him. We might have to we're going to have to blow him out of the water. We already know he's going to contest the election results. So everything we do matters. And the role of the Grosse Pointe Democrats. We think the GP Dems can be a huge tool for voter outreach in the South, in East Detroit, Grosse Pointe, Harper Woods. Just this past week, the phone bank set up by Colton and Shannon through the GP Dems, they were able to make 409 contact attempts, an 8% contact rate, came out to about 26 people. Even though that doesn't seem like a lot, I mean, every little bit counts. We were able to identify 5 people who want to volunteer with us in the future. And I'm going to talk to everybody today about how we can get involved and increase those contact numbers. So why we're here, talking to our neighbors is the most effective way to fight for the country we live in. Michigan is one of 2 states, Trump won in 2016, that has a Democratic senator running for re-election. Michigan State House is a top 10 chamber to flip in 2020, and we need 4 seats to win the Democratic majority. Well, and I didn't mention this before, but the Michigan One campaign, we're the largest Democratic coordinated campaign in the country out of any state, and that just kind of underscores the importance of Michigan right now. So our goals today and, until November 3rd, we're going to try to find out more information about likely Democratic voters. We're going to, also find out more about issues and concerns in our community before November, share information about the permanent absentee voter list, help folks find their city or township clerk. And we're going to, of course, share more information about Joe Biden and about Senator Gary Peters, most especially. And with that, I'm actually going to share a different part of my screen. So I'm going to get into the list, or the script that everybody will be seeing when people volunteer with us and when they phone bank. Let's see. Awesome. Okay, great. Can everybody see this part of my screen now? So, so phone banking is our main tool of really reaching out to voters at this point. We wish, we could be on the ground, knocking on doors, talking to people, but obviously COVID-19. So here we are. So this is, this is the phone bank right here. This is what everybody will see if they volunteer with us. So we have Danielle Jones. So first thing to do, we all use our own cell phones when we do this. I would, type her number into my phone, ideally have this script up on my computer, call her. Unfortunately, contact rate's about 10%. So most of the time she won't pick up. In that situation, I would click I couldn't reach Danielle. We have, she's not home. She refused. That means she would ask to be taken off the list. Hopefully we don't have too many of those. These people are all likely Democrats that we've identified. Every once in a while, somebody says, "Oh, my father died." Every once in a while says, "Oh, I moved to Texas. Sorry." Sometimes we get a Spanish-speaking voter. Sometimes we get an Arabic-speaking voter. We don't ask any of our volunteers to leave messages, voicemail messages. This option just means, "Oh, hi, Danielle's my daughter. I'll leave a message for her. She'll get back to you." Every once in a while, we run into people, the wrong number. Hopefully, not too many. We also have a disconnected option there. If, somebody's number is disconnected, and it's also possible that we run into a hostile voter. Hopefully, not too likely. But anyway, moving on. So hopefully, she picks up. Hi, my name is Josh. I'm calling with the Michigan Democrats, working to elect Joe Biden, U.S. Senator Gary Peters, and Democrats up and down the ticket. I know there's a lot going on in the world, and we're living through multiple national crises. So part of the reason for my call is just to see how you're doing. This is just kind of an open-ended question, ask how they're doing. Hopefully they want to continue the conversation. The other reason I'm calling is because Joe Biden announced his Build Back Better plan this past week, which will help create millions of good-paying jobs and build an inclusive economy where every American has an equal chance to get ahead. Then we just ask straight up, do you support Vice President Joe Biden in the election for president on November 3rd? Right here, we have a pop-down menu. We have options for strong Biden, lean Biden, undecided. Hopefully we don't get, too many Trump supporters. I've spoken to a lot of undecided voters, so that will be very common. We also have Senator Gary Peters, who's up for re-election. He spent the past 6 years fighting for Michiganders in Washington, protecting our health care and the Great Lakes. Then we ask, will you be supporting Senator Gary Peters in the election for U.S. Senate on November 3rd? We have a similar pop-up menu, strong support, lean, undecided, leaning Republican. We've found that a lot of people are unfamiliar with Gary Peters. They don't know much about him. So a lot of people who will be supporting Joe Biden will say, I have to do some more research on the senator. But anyway, continuing on the conversation, thanks to a ballot initiative that was passed in 2018, Michigan now has no excuse absentee voting, and you can apply to vote by mail right now. Voting by mail is convenient, safe, and reliable, and is used by voters of both parties. You can fill out an absentee ballot application, have your ballot mailed directly to your voting address. Then we say, will you be voting absentee? And a similar pop-up menu down here, yes, no, unsure, not voting. And if they respond yes or possibly, I always go into this next step of the conversation, which is kind of explaining the three options, how they can return their absentee ballot application. We say that's great. It's really important that you get that application in as soon as possible. There are three ways to do this. The voter can fill it out, sign it, make sure the envelope has the proper postage, and mail it to their local clerk. They can take a photo of the application after they've filled it out and signed it, and email it to their local clerk. It's very important that the signature is visible. Or they could fill it out, sign it, and drop it off in person. But we're telling everybody they have to call ahead because office hours are limited due to COVID-19. And then this next question, that's okay. What's holding you back from returning it? I just tell people, they don't have to ask this. I don't think it flows well with the script. I mean, I don't write the script. If I did, I wouldn't put it in there. But, if you want to ask that and get into a conversation with the voter, why not? And say, and this is if they say they're not voting absentee. We say, if not, that's okay. We know it's early. Voting by mail is the safest option this year with the pandemic going on, and the November elections will be critical. If you need additional assistance on how to vote, you can call our voter assistance hotline at 1-833-MI-VOTES. And there's also a website that people can go to download and print the application. I don't know, we just updated our script to put some Joe Biden talking points, and that was left out. But if when people are volunteering in the future, I'll make sure to send that website in with the link to the script. So if a voter says, "Oh, I lost my application," we can just say, go to this website, download and print it. And then a few more questions. One of the reasons we were so successful in 2018 is because people like you came out to help elect Democrats up and down the ballot. Could we count on you to volunteer with us? And I always tell people only ask this question if they seem enthusiastic, have said, "Oh yes, I'm supporting Biden and Peters, no doubt." We have a similar pop-up menu right here. Yes, maybe, closer to election day, in person only. But we were able to identify 5 people who expressed interest in volunteering by volunteers with the GP Dems, asking voters to volunteer this past week. So it worked out. This next part, if yes to vol, make a specific plan on how they will volunteer with us. Another stupid part of the script I tell people not to worry about. No volunteer has to make a plan with another volunteer and when they're going to volunteer. That's my job. And then one final question: what would you say is the issue of most concern to you and your family today? And then we have a pop-up menu down here with options ranging from the economy to racism to the coronavirus. And it's just a survey question. Then that issue matters to me too. I'm the one, that's part of the reason I'm committed to voting for the Dems this year. And then thanks so much for taking your time to speak with me. We'll stay in touch. And if voters want more information on the Joe Biden's Build Back Better plan, we have some additional talking points at the bottom of the script. If they say, "Oh, what's that?" We just have some initial talking points for people to voice to voters. And and one more thing. After we answer all the questions and in the script, we scroll down to the bottom here. We have the save and next call option, and this is how it takes us to the next voter to contact. And I guess a few more things. if you're uncomfortable about using your own number, you could download a Google Voice app. It will give you a new number for free. And if somebody asks you, "Oh, how did you get my number?" We pull our numbers from public information from the Secretary of State. So yeah, we're not keeping tabs on anybody. It's all public info. But that's one of our phone banking opportunities. I'm going to take some questions right now. I'm sure people have some. But and then I will explain. We have another opportunity that we're just offering people also, and I'll explain that in a second. So if anybody has any questions or concerns, please unmute and ask me.
Yeah, Josh, can we stop sharing this screen just for a sec?
Yeah.
I think I can't never remember how to do that. I think it's down at the bottom.
I think you're right. I think because I shared it, I might be having. Oh, right here. There we go.
Okay, cool. So I just wanted to, because that was a lot to digest, I just wanted to make sure that that I'm understanding, and maybe hopefully that everybody else is understanding. So it's a long script, but it sounds like the biggest things that we want to cover when we're talking to people over the phone, it sounds to me like 4 things. Number 1 is to gauge their support for Joe Biden. Number 2 is to gauge their support for Gary Peters. Number 3 is to ask them about absentee ballots. And then number 4 is if they're supportive, to ask if they'd like to volunteer. Is that correct?
That's correct. And then we also want to make sure they know about Joe Biden's Build Back Better plan that he's rolling out. But yeah, that's correct.
Okay, great. So yeah, if anybody has questions, please either raise your hand and I can unmute you, or you can just unmute yourself and feel free to ask anything regarding the phone banking.
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
You said you don't recommend leaving a message?
Yes, I mean, or we just tell people if they don't feel comfortable leaving. We don't ask anybody to leave messages, I guess.
Oh.
So we just tell people if they don't feel comfortable leaving a message, don't worry about it. But if you'd like to, no problem.
Okay, yeah. I would think that would be a much better way than repeat calling, since, my number wouldn't be identified. They would think I'm a spam caller.
Right. No, definitely. I mean, if you want to leave a message, feel free to. We just want to make sure everybody knows that they don't have to if they don't want to.
Thank you.
Part of the reason, just to give an example, part of the reason why you don't leave a message on every call is because, like, if we don't reach someone, we'll probably try to call them again. And so if you don't leave a number, it's just a random person that called them, that's fine. It gives us an opportunity to call them again and actually get them in person, because that's the most valuable. We actually get real information that we can utilize, as opposed to if we were like inviting people to a specific event, we might want to like leave a message for them to let them know about that specific event. In this case, we're trying to get information from the voter. And so we actually want to get them on the phone.
So if I call and I don't make contact, then that's recorded in my script, and then the next person would know that there's been one contact.
What would
Contact.
Well, and our organizer can talk a little bit more about it, but part of it is when they pull lists for us to call, they can choose to leave in or leave out people who have already been contacted but not reached before. And so the organizers in the campaigns could make the decision about who we're contacting and be confident of knowing that person hasn't talked to a real person yet. And because that's like the number one concern that we've got right now.
And so after, say, two or three attempts, then you might leave a message?
I don't know. They're usually typically in phone calling programs, there isn't a lot of message leaving that happens, just because we can't get reliable information from that. But every campaign is different, and maybe the one campaign might try to do that at a later point.
Okay.
I saw Carla's hand up, and then after Carla, we have a hand up from Maria. So Carla, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering, it's kind of on the same thread. I know when things get closer, I guess probably for local election for Senator Peters, we'll be looking at van lists and minivan lists and things like that. Does this information get compiled at all with those databases, or are we gonna, once things start to narrow down during the election, will we be, maybe adding things into that? So because we're not door knocking, just trying to figure out how we can add the stuff that you guys are doing with maybe potentially what we're going to do in our area.
All of our lists, I guess we update them every day, for disconnected wrong numbers. And then I'm not 100% on the minivan point, but I know what usually happens is I send my volunteers a link to create their own van account, and then just send them another link that just takes them straight to the virtual phone bank. But no, I'm definitely, we definitely should find ways to, make all of our lists better. I just don't have a clear answer for that at the moment.
Just to give some additional kind of experience with this, we are right now, the information that we're gathering through these phone banks is actually going into the van. So all of the information is being shared. A contact that you make now would be noted in the database as a contact that was made for that candidate. The information that we're acquiring about those candidates will be utilized, by the One campaign going forward. So I think the answer to your question is actually everything that we're gathering right now is going back into the minivan and the van. They're all connected into one big database. Is that what your question was, or is it different?
No, that was it, because this is like good information, like when we really have to go into crunch time and we can't knock on doors. And if I've made a call to somebody up in Grand Rapids, hopefully that the folks there locally that, if we do get an opportunity to get out, they might have like, hey, you know what, this person was kind of leaning or they were undecided. At least they'll know that and not go, well, gee, thanks, you guys have called me 4 times and I've given you this information.
All this information is going back into the same. That's what the One campaign is doing right now. Is all the information is going back into one central repository. That doesn't mean we might not give we might not call that person a second or third time if we need to. But the idea is the One campaign. All this information is being shared throughout the state, so we won't be making unnecessary duplicative calls, not duplicitous.
And I think tied into Mary's question a little bit too about the leaving messages. I think what Josh was trying to get at is it's not necessarily bad to leave a message, but when you leave a message, that means we didn't talk to that voter. And since we didn't talk to that voter, it doesn't really help the database. We don't know which way they're leaning. So you're spending a little bit extra time, but not essentially not really helping the database to see if that person is a lean Biden or a lean Trump or undecided. So I think, once again, Josh's point was that it's not necessarily a bad thing. If you want to, maybe Josh feels differently, but if you want to, it's not a bad thing to do, but it doesn't necessarily help us figure out which way that voter is leaning.
No, definitely. I usually leave a message after I've already talked to somebody and was asking them, if just calling to see if you're still interested in volunteering, or we can still count on you to volunteer tomorrow. But right off the bat, it's 99 times out of 100, that person's not going to call you back, So, it definitely is more helpful to get the info right up front on the phone.
Great. Thank you for those questions. And now, Maria, I'm trying to unmute you. There you go, Maria.
Okay. So I got some of my questions answered. The thing is, I have been phone calls for going on 8 weeks now, District 2, 3, and 4. And I know, if you have a downloaded list, it'll say left message, wrong number. But it also, at this time, at one of them, I saw that where you could actually, if that number was wrong or disconnected, it would ask remove number, but I wouldn't do it because I didn't have permission. And when I ask a candidate, they didn't know what to do with it. So what you're saying is, Josh, is you're saying that we just put the information on, and within 24, 48 hours, the next list coming out, you guys will have taken care of that, right?
Yes. Whenever you phone bank, somebody will send you a new list, and they will,
Hello?
no,
Are you there?
yeah,
I didn't hear one word you said. I'm sorry.
no worries. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So, whenever you phone bank with us, somebody will send you a new link to a new list, and ideally they will have cut that list, the morning of, which means any wrong numbers or disconnecteds from the night before will have been cleaned out. So my understanding is that when we cut new lists, those numbers are those when we press wrong number and disconnected, those are cleaned out of the database.
Any other questions regarding the phone banking for Josh?
I have one more phone banking thing I'd like to share my screen with on my computer with everybody again. That's all right. So as organizers, we have this thing called the dialer where we log into this. It's called Through Talk. We log into our phones, and the dialer automatically dials new numbers for us, and we get a much higher contact rate. It's about 75%, maybe more. But it's it's numbers all around Michigan, Republicans and Democrats, and we're just opening that up to volunteers also. And so I just want to let everybody know that this is also an option moving forward. Awesome. Just a few more slides here. So on our dialer website is called Through Talk. Anybody will have the ability to access it and use it at the times they want. All you need is your name, your email, and your phone number. You would just enter that into the database, and we would send you the link to our Michigan One campaign dialer, and then you would log in over here, and with your login information provided in the top left. And then right here too, there will be an option down here. It says call with computer, and we always tell people no, kind of like we do with the scripts. The dialer will have a script, and we will have it on the script on our computers and be calling on our phones. And whenever somebody expresses interest in doing the dialer, I'll go over this with you another time. But I just wanted to give everybody a quick spark notes of it. Anyway, so on the left, I guess this is what you'll see on your computer screen after you've and how you get it linked to your phone also is you dial a number. And then you'll press it'll say enter this PIN. You'll go to your keypad and press like 343, and then your computer and your phone will be linked. And then this is on the left right here. This is what you'll see before you're connected to a call. And as soon as you're connected to a call, it'll the script here on the right, it'll pull up with the voter's name and the script and say, is John available? My name is Josh. I'm a volunteer with the Michigan Democratic Party. Once you're talking to the right person, it'll go to the next part of the script. And it's essentially the same thing as the script we saw before. We have the Joe Biden Build Back Better plan. Do you support Joe Biden and Garrett Peters, and the absentee ballot application process? The big difference to this is we can guarantee that you're going to talk to a lot of people. You're going to also talk to some Republicans, so you'll probably get some unsavory phone calls. With everything I was showing you before, those are likely Democrats. But you're not going to get as high of a contact rate. We're just opening this up to our volunteers now. So if you're somebody that wants to talk to a lot of people and wants to do it efficiently, this is a good way to do it. But
hey, Josh, I had a question about that actually.
yes.
And number one, I want to encourage folks to do the dialer whenever possible. It's super efficient use of your time. You'll literally make the equivalent of hundreds of dials in a period of time that you could only probably do like 20. But the question I had was, is it possible if like the Grosse Pointe Dems wanted to do a dialer shift together, where we wanted to say like, hey, we're going to call together on Saturday from 2 to 4. Because I know one of the things about dialers is they're a lot more efficient when a bunch of people are on the line at the same time. Could we work with you to kind of have a list of our targeted East Side and Grosse Pointe area people put into the dialer for us during that shift?
No, absolutely. Yeah, no, that's a great idea.
Okay.
Dialer definitely works a lot better when you're on it longer with more people. But no, yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, and it just means how that works is the system is constantly making calls. And so if you have more people doing it at the same time, that means it'll make more calls to feed to you. And it just makes the whole process a lot more efficient. I think that's something as a club that we should work on to do a few times over the course of this election, is do a couple dialer shifts together. Plus, it's a lot more fun to make calls with each other than just by yourself.
Absolutely.
So do we have any other questions regarding phone banking? I actually kind of have one myself. Neil made a good case for using the dialer, but to me it sounds like two similar tools to do the same, to do almost the same thing. But is it really just a preference thing, or is there like a huge difference? Is there going to be like a huge difference in contact rates or the quality of phone calls?
So with the original phone banking tool I was showing everybody, we know that we're going to be calling voters, Grosse Pointe, Harper Woods, East Detroit area, and we know they're likely Democrats. Main difference with the dialers, it would be all across Michigan and broad range of political ideologies. Which is fine, but yes, I can guarantee much higher contact rate with the dialer.
Okay. Jim, I think I saw that you had your hand up.
Yes, not wanting to appear the Luddite that I am, but dialer only works if you have a smartphone. Is that correct?
I believe I believe you can use your home phone, and you would just if you have any type of phone and a computer, I'm pretty sure it works. But I can, because all you need is a keypad really to type in the code. But
the other thing is I still have my number from Houston, so I calling in. Yeah, I'll confess, whenever I get a phone number that I don't recognize, I don't answer the phone. So that's why I'm not really reluctant. I'm kind of reluctant to phone bank myself. I don't like to do to other people what I don't like them doing to me. But again, I have a problem that I have a dumb phone. It's even dumber than me. So I don't think I could probably use a Google number with it, I'm assuming.
With the dialer, it just gives you a random generated number. I forgot to say that you wouldn't be using your own number. If you want the first option, right, the Google number might be tough, but the dialer gives you a random generated number. So your number would not be visible to people you're talking to.
But then again, with the dialer you're talking from your
a 1-800 number, or like a toll number. And then you just stay on the phone on that phone call. And so you can use a dumb phone, you can use your home landline. All you need is a phone and a computer. And for folks that are concerned about, your cell phone out there, it's a great way to kind of deal with that problem as well. You don't have to worry about your cell phone number going out there.
Thanks.
So on a similar note, if you do have a number that's not a 313 or not a 248 or a 586, not a local number, it is a good idea if you can to do the Google Voice. And I think if I remember correctly, you can request a 313 number so that when you're calling people, it looks like, they're getting a call from somebody local, which means they're much more likely to pick up. So if you find yourself in that predicament where you maybe have an out-of-town phone number, that is a good option. But I want to kick it over to Greg. I think Greg had a question.
Okay, effective August 5th, Kathy and I will be precinct delegates. So we have a defined area, our neighborhood. basically 12 streets for a block and a half, long blocks. Is there a way to get a printout of addresses from the phone database? So
we can establish relationships.
or we could even do a physical delivery of, speaking of a Luddite, a letter printed that focuses on no excuses, absentee voting. Because I kind of have a feeling there are a lot of questions out there about this. And maybe the most efficient way to get people to come forward is to contact them, through old technology.
No, absolutely. Short answer, I know I can get you the phone bank tomorrow, and I'm sure we could work on getting it printed out. Greg and Kelly, if you wouldn't mind giving me maybe later this week, I'm sure I could get you that printout. No problem.
Okay, great. I mean, I'm still going to use do the phone calling.
Right.
But, since this is a defined area that we can walk, I mean, it's not that difficult to just drop something in the mailboxes.
Definitely.
Or in the door, whatever's legal.
Not the mailbox.
Not the mailbox.
Any other questions for Josh? Seeing none at the moment. Okay, Josh, do you have any more things to present?
No, presentation's done. Grosse Pointe Dems, they have the links to sign up for all the phone banks. I believe it's Wednesday and Saturday for the Grosse Pointe Dems going forward, but neither of those days work for you. We have opportunities every day of the week. So I'm going to put my contact information in the chat also.
Perfect. I was just going to ask you to do that. Yeah. So going forward, yes, as Josh said, the Grosse Pointe Democratic Club is teaming up with Josh and the MDP for weekly phone banks on Wednesday evening and Saturday afternoon. So those are going to be our big phone banks where we, the GP Dems, are going to team up and make as many phone calls as we can in about 2 hours. So I think the Wednesday one is 6:30. I believe. Is that right, Josh? I think it's 6:30.
It's 6 p.m.
So I think it's 6 to 8 on Wednesdays. And then Saturdays is, I think, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. So if you can make those, fantastic. If you can't, as Josh said, you can phone bank just about any time. So if those two dates or days and times don't work for you, get in contact with Josh directly, and he can set you up with a phone banking list for whatever time works for you. But if you can, like I said, we have Wednesday and Saturday weekly phone banks, and that can be found on our Facebook page and our website. And I can also drop the information in the chat here. But I also want, before we go, I want to make everyone aware we have a similar training event to this one that's actually going to be next Tuesday, same time. And it is going to be geared specifically for precinct delegates. So if you're on this one, you probably don't need to be on the one next week, but just wanted to put it on everybody's radar if you want to tell your friends, maybe they couldn't make it, or maybe they're going to be new precinct delegates, just to let them know. That's up on our Facebook page and the website now as well. We hope to have just as good of a turnout next week as we did here. But I'll let Josh close it up, but I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for joining. This is a great group to start out with. Everybody, I mean, I don't have to tell anybody here, but we all know that there's a lot of work to do this year to not just get Joe Biden elected and kick Trump out, but we have to get Gary Peters reelected. We have to flip at least 4 House seats in the Michigan House to take control of the Michigan House. I think it's 4 or 5, but so we've got our work cut out for us, and every phone call made matters. So thank you for stepping up and joining us for this training event. And I hope you have many happy hours of calling and talking to voters. So thank you very much. But Josh, I'll let you close.
No, thank you, everybody. Yeah, no, Michigan, arguably the most important state we have. So we need all hands on deck, and don't back off because you think you can't make it the whole time from 6 to 8. If you can only come for an hour, half an hour, anything you do, we appreciate. So thank you, everybody.